Excellencies, distinguished diplomats, respected scholars, and dear friends, a very warm welcome on behalf of IDDF Research Foundation. Today's session is a very important session about India-Oman relations. And for this, joining us, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Oman. And this session will be chaired by Ambassador Anil Wadhwa. It's an honor and pleasure to introduce the chair of today's session. Ambassador Anil Wadhwa was a member of the Indian Foreign Service from 1979 to 2017 and has served as the Indian ambassador to Italy, Thailand, Oman, and Poland. And he has served in many countries. Recently, he has led, Ambassador Wadhwa is currently a distinguished fellow with the Vivekananda International Foundation, New Delhi, and serves as an independent director and advisor on the boards of some corporates, firms, and organizations in India and abroad. Without taking much time, I would just hand over the session to the chair, Ambassador Anil Wadhwa, and request you, sir, to please take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, my thanks to IDDF Research Foundation for organizing this important event in the aftermath of a visit by Prime Minister Modi to Oman, which has resulted in some significant agreements, which we are going to talk about today. I'd especially like to welcome the Ambassador of Oman today, Issa, and it's an honor to have him here and speak about this relationship later on in the program. I'd like to begin by talking about what I wrote in the Indian media about the visit of Prime Minister Modi to Oman in December 2025. And I wrote that it was more than just a diplomatic courtesy call. It was a deliberate pivot as far as India is concerned towards a deeper engagement with a country that has stood at the crossroads of India's economic ambition and also security calculus in West Asia. India and Oman are countries who are divided by the Arabian Sea, but they are connected by centuries of trade winds and cultural exchange. And they reaffirmed during this visit their shared journey and charted a bold new course, I would think, with agreements that promise lasting regional impact. So the story of India-Oman relationship actually stretches back centuries. When Omani dhows and Arab sailing vessels applied the Indian Ocean, they used to carry spices, textiles, and ideas between the Indian subcontinent and the Arabian Peninsula. And this maritime legacy established early economic and cultural linkages that have endured into the modern era, evolving into formal diplomatic ties soon after Oman's renaissance under Sultan Qaboos bin Said in the late 20th century. And over the decades, India and Oman have built a very robust bilateral relationship, which is grounded on mutual respect, on cultural affinity, and strong people to people ties. The Indian linkages with Oman are quite palpable because if you see Omani society, Hindi films and cuisine is popular, and Indian cultural festivals are celebrated with enthusiasm. Oman has also embraced Indian traditions. For example, the Indian classical music and Indian communities' celebration of festivals such as Diwali. These are all well recognized and symbolize a very shared cultural harmony that we have between us. Talking about the economic relationship in brief, and the economic engagement between our two nations has steadily strengthened. Bilateral trade had reached $10.6 billion in 2024-25, which is a substantial rise from previous years. And India exports mainly electrical machinery, rice, and engineering goods, while it mainly imports crude petroleum, fertilizers, and chemicals from Oman. There are close to 6,000 India-Oman joint ventures which now operate across sectors in Oman, collectively investing billions in creating employment opportunities. There's a very important Oman India Joint Investment Fund, which is a 50-50 joint venture between the State Bank of India and the Oman Investment Authority, and that focuses on private equity investments in the mid market segment in India. And this fund was established in 2011 when I was ambassador to Oman. It had an initial corpus of 100 million US dollars. In 2017, this fund received another 230 million infusion, and then a third tranche of 300 million was announced in December 2023. So cumulatively, the first two tranches of the fund, first two tranches have invested around 320 to 330 million in approximately 19 companies, and the total committed capital across all the three tranches of the fund is now over 600 million US dollars. Then the commercial relationship capstones annual trade figures and foreign investment flows, but it also serves some deeper strategic interests. Because Oman is strategically located at the mouth of the Persian Gulf, it provides India with crucial access to Gulf markets and routes to Africa and beyond. And for India, strengthening this economic bridge supports its broader ambitions of boosting exports, of building supply chain resilience, and also enhancing its footprint in the Middle East. India and Oman have matured into a strategic relationship that goes beyond commerce because India feels that Oman remains one of its closest partners in the Gulf for defense and maritime cooperation as well. Oman has cooperated with Indian armed forces across all three services and has opened strategic access points such as the Dukum port, which has enhanced India's ability to operate in the Western Indian Ocean, which is an asset of immense regional significance. And as far as Oman is concerned, I think India represents a stable, a reliable partner amidst a turbulent regional geopolitics because India's foreign policy and its commitment to maritime security, its respect for sovereignty, they all align with Oman's long standing diplomatic preference for dialogue and stability. The strategic bond also encompasses energy security, with India importing hydrocarbons from Oman while jointly exploring renewables and green technologies, increasingly important as both our countries pivot towards energy transition and sustainability. So, Prime Minister Modi's visit in 2025 actually marked a very decisive step forward because it was underlined by some key developments. Perhaps the most transformative outcome of the visit was the formal signing of the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, which I feel is a modern free trade pact which is designed to cut tariffs, to open markets, to facilitate extensive cooperation across services and goods. And also, multiple memoranda of understanding were signed, which cover maritime heritage, scientific research, skills development, agriculture, and business cooperation between the Oman Chamber of Commerce and India's CII, the Confederation of Indian Industry. So there was also a joint vision document and also some programs, and they all outlined enhanced cooperation and shared interests, which range from innovation to food security collaboration, and also the broader socio-economic initiatives, which I think reinforce our long-term strategic planning. Also, PM Modi was conferred the prestigious Order of Oman, which is a testament to the warmth of our bilateral ties. Now, a little bit more, I'd like to talk about the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement because that, in my view, is a watershed in India Oman economic relations. Oman has offered zero duty free access to over 98% of its tariff lines or 99.3% of India's exports. And that covers nearly all Indian exports for value, which gives Indian goods, especially in the labor intensive and small and medium enterprise sectors like gems and jewelry, textiles, footwear, engineering, auto, pharma, and agriculture, a significant edge in Omani market. And this pact also includes commitments across 127 services sectors and expanded mobility provisions for professionals, which enhances our people to people links and creates jobs. Because that includes significant commitments in IT, in R&D, in health, and enhanced mobility for professionals under Mode 4. So it includes higher quotas for corporate transferees as well. And India has liberalized tariffs on 94.8% of Omani imports, like dates, marble, select pharmaceutical, petrochemicals, and also minerals, often with zero or reduced duties. So the agreements benefit Oman by boosting Indian investment. It will facilitate Omani exports to India. It will create jobs. It will enhance energy security, and it'll also establish, in my view, Oman as a strategic hub for India's access to GCC, to Africa, to Central Asia. I think the agreement also opens avenues for increased foreign direct investment, particularly in sectors like technology, clean energy, infrastructure, and logistics. So 100% FDI is now offered in this agreement in major services sectors in Oman, and increased trade and investment from India in services, manufacturing, and technology sectors will create new employment opportunities. Also, I think it streamlines trade because there are some mutual recognition of standards like halal certification, faster approvals for Indian pharmaceuticals, which potentially will boost trade in the health sector. And I believe it is Oman's first such agreement since 2006. So it aligns with Oman's Vision 2040 and India's development ambitions, which promises a synergistic growth and also innovation partnership. So beyond these trade restrictions, I think and the SEPA also expands collaboration in areas such as agro-industry, in renewable energy, in startups, in digital technologies, which promises diversified engagement across the economic spectrum. I was reading some reactions of analysts in the GCC, and say this agreement is not just a commercial agreement, but as a strategic instrument to deepen India's economic engagement in the Gulf, which is now a region which is increasingly pivotal to global supply chains and also to energy networks, in fact, around the world. So, I think a cornerstone, and I would like to especially mention the diaspora here, the Indian diaspora, because that's a cornerstone of our relationship, not just the economic relationship, but also the overall relationship with Oman. And we have one of the largest expatriate Indian communities in the Sultanate of Oman, about 675,000 Indians. So this is a demographic which surpasses many other overseas Indian communities. So these expatriates contribute substantially to the Omani economy across construction, healthcare, manufacturing, agriculture, and services. Their remittances and entrepreneurial ventures, often through family enterprises and joint ventures, also support the ecosystem on both sides. So diaspora actually acts as a living bridge between our societies and brings about our cultural affinity and also mutual goodwill. Overall, and I'll end there, I think the strengthened India Oman partnership goes beyond the bilateral corridor because there's a renewed focus now on Oman under India's Think West policy. It diversifies our ties with the GCC beyond the traditional energy and trade. It extends now to innovation, to defense, to human capital exchange, and cooperation on maritime security enhances stability in the Indian Ocean region, which is crucial for global trade routes and also for countering the disruptive forces that we have today in the Arabian Sea and beyond. And I think the SEPA model with Oman could serve as a blueprint for deeper economic integration of India with other Gulf states, which will boost India's global trade footprint and also supply chain resilience. There's going to be joint work now. I'm sure it'll start very soon on renewable energy, on green hydrogen, and infrastructure. And all this aligns with the global transitions towards cleaner energy systems, which reflects convergence in our long term strategic priorities. So, as global geopolitics shifts, and there's a lot of change nowadays in global geopolitics, and there are new opportunities which are arising, I think the India Oman relationship stands as a testament to how thoughtful diplomacy, some robust economic engagement, and some deep rooted cultural ties can actually chart a course towards shared prosperity and regional stability. I like to end there, and I like to introduce now His Excellency, our keynote speaker for today, Ambassador of Oman to India, His Excellency Issa Saleh Abdullah Saleh Alshibani, who has already left an indelible mark on the India Oman relationship during his stint in India. He also serves as the non resident ambassador of Oman to Afghanistan, to Bhutan, and to Nepal. He's been to some prestigious institutions like the Sultan Qaboos University, then the University in Edinburgh, and also the East Anglia University in London. And he's held some important posts in Paris, in London, as well as in the minister's office in the Omani Foreign Ministry in Muscat before his arrival to New Delhi. And it's a pleasure to have him on this show, and always a pleasure to interact with him. Excellency, you have the floor, sir.
Ambassador Anil Wadhwa, thank you so much. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the honor of inviting me to speak on India-Oman relations, especially at a time when our partnership is not only steady, but moving with clear momentum. It is also a timely moment, as Ambassador Anil has put it through. The year 2025 marked the 70th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between India and Oman, and it was in this milestone year that the Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi undertook an official visit to the Sultanate of Oman from 17th to 18th of December. That visit followed the state visit of His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq to India in December 2023. His Majesty's first visit to India in more than 25 years, and a landmark moment for our modern relationship. I think when we speak about the India and Oman, we are not speaking about a relationship that began with modern diplomacy. We are speaking about two maritime neighbors whose people have looked at the same ocean for centuries and have seen opportunity, not distance. The Arabian Sea has never been a barrier between us. It has been a bridge carrying merchant ideas, languages, and families. It is one of the rare relationships where history is not a museum, it is a living memory. If I speak about the strategic perspective, the geography of our relationship is not an abstract concept. It is real and visible on the map. Oman sits at a location of immense maritime significance, close to the approaches of the Strait of Hormuz and overlooking major sea lanes that connect Asia, the Gulf, and Africa. India, for its part, is a major Indian ocean power with deep interest in secure sea lines of communication, the safety of maritime trade, and stability in the wider region. And for both countries, the ocean is central to prosperity. When shipping is disrupted, when piracy rises, when instability spreads, it affects families and businesses in Muscat, in Suhar, in Salalah, and equally in Mumbai, in Kochi, or in other parts of India. So it's natural that India and Oman have built a strong habit of cooperation in maritime security, defense exchanges, and practical coordination. This has been visible over many years. Regular naval engagements, training and professional exchanges, and joint exercises, such as the Indo-Oman Naval Exercise Nasim al-Bahar, These interaction impose collaboration, but more importantly, they build professional trust. Officers who know each other, systems that can communicate, and procedures that can activate quickly when required. This strategic cooperation is also about being prepared for the unexpected, whether it is maritime crime, piracy, or an emergency at sea. The ability to share information and coordination makes it a real difference. That is why during the Prime Minister's visit in December 25, both sides agreed to undertake joint initiatives to prevent maritime crimes and piracy by enhancing maritime domain awareness and facilitating continued information exchange. Let me mention another example of practical strategic partnership: logistical cooperation. During the Prime Minister's earlier visit to Oman in February 2018, an annex to the existing MOU on maritime cooperation was signed relating to dock on board to support Indian naval ships and strengthen strategic partnership. This is not about projecting power. It is about sustaining operations for shared maritime security objectives, including longer duration missions such as anti-piracy efforts. In the joint vision adopted in December 2023, maritime cooperation and connectivity were identified as priority areas for the future roadmap. The important point is that was not left as a slogan. During Prime Minister's visit in December 2025, both sides adopted a joint vision document on maritime cooperation, reflecting a shared commitment to regional maritime security, the blue economy, and sustainable use of ocean resources. That is strategic cooperation in plain language. We want our region to be safe, our seas to be open, and our ocean resources to be used responsibly. I would also underline another reality. Strategic trust is built through predictability. Oman's steady, principled approach to international relations and its preference for dialogue has earned its respect across region. India, too, has consistently advocated peaceful solutions, respect for sovereignty, and the rule of international law. When two countries share these instincts, their strategic cooperation becomes easier and more durable. In December 2023, when His Majesty visited India, both leaders recalled the long history of maritime trade between India and Oman and appreciated the proposal to recreate a maritime voyage of a Sith ship crafted with ancient know-how, sailing from Gujarat to Muscat. 2 years later, that idea has come alive. So I was privileged on 29th of December this year, the Indian naval sailing vessel INSF Kondania sailed from Brobandar, Gujarat for Muscat on her overseas voyage, retracting the ancient trade route across the Arabian Sea. This is not just a ceremonial journey. It is a living reminder that our partnership has civilizational depth. It tells our younger generation that India and Oman relations are not only about documents and meetings, they are also about memory, heritage, and the confidence to sail together into the future. There is also something inspiring about the message of that vessel. A Sith ship is built with patience, craftsmanship, and trust in the method. It is held together through careful joining, not through force. That, to me, is a quiet metaphor for diplomacy. Strong partnerships are stitched through repeated cooperation, respect, and reliability. Now, as Ambassador Anil mentioned about the comprehensive agreement, let me shed some perspective on it. For many years, India and Oman has enjoyed strong commercial ties. At the time of His Majesty's visit to India in December 2023, both sides noted that bilateral trade had more than doubled in short period. These are substantial figures, the trade figures, but beyond the numbers, they tell a story of confidence. Business on both sides already see each other as serious partners. However, the world economy today is not simple. Supply chains can be disrupted, freight costs can rise unexpectedly, markets can change quickly. In such an environment, economic partnerships must be anchored in predictable frameworks. That is why the India-Oman CEPA signed during Prime Minister Modi's visit in December 2025 is such a significant step. In political terms, CEPA is an agreement of confidence. It says we want to reduce barriers, expand opportunity, and create a stable environment for our private sectors to plan, invest, and grow. The leaders describe it as an important milestone and encourage the private sectors of both countries to benefit from it. The joint statement also notes that the CEPA is meant to unlock opportunities across major sectors, enhance economic growth, create jobs, and boost investment flows. The numbers behind the agreement are also impressive. Under the CEPA, Oman has agreed to provide zero-duty access on over 98% of its tariff lines, covering the vast majority of Indian exports. In turn, will reduce tariff as around 78% of its tariff lines, covering most Omanis products by value. These figures matters because they translate policy into real competitiveness for exporters, real choice for consumers. But I want to stress something. CEPA is not only a tariff document, it's a confidence platform. It gives businesses the confidence to sign long-term contracts. It gives investors the confidence to place capital for the long term. It gives young entrepreneurs the confidence that the rules of the game are stable. So it might be a question is how do we ensure that business, especially small and medium enterprises, use CEPA? To me, is where I see that 5 practical directions for CEPA implementation are non-controversial and all are achievable. First is information. Trade agreements are only useful when businesses understand them. We need clear, user-friendly guidance, sectoral workshops, online explainers, and CEPA help desks that answer practical questions on rules of origin, standards, certification, customs, procedures, and timelines. And here at the Oman Embassy, we have conducted around 4 projects last year where we have invited free zones, government entities to shed some light and speak and give information about what is Oman offering for Indian investors. Second, for the CEPA to success is connectivity and logistics. Oman is positioning itself as a logistics and connectivity hub under Vision 2040, and India is expanding its manufacturing and export capacity. If we can improve shipping links, port cooperation, and logistics services, the benefit of CEPA will arrive faster and at a lower cost. This is where the economy and the strategic dimension join hands. Resilient supply chain depends on secure seas, efficient ports, and predictable movement of goods. Third, of course, investment facilitation. Leaders in December 2025 noted that discussions are ongoing on bilateral investments treaty, recognizing its potential to support economic cooperation and a robust investor-friendly environment. They also took note of discussions on exploring mechanisms to facilitate bilateral trade in local currencies. These are practical steps that reduce friction and risk for businesses. Alongside these frameworks, the Oman-India Joint Investment Fund, as mentioned by Ambassador Anil, has already been an important bridge for investments. The third tranche, announced during His Majesty's visit in 2023, signaled continued confidence in India's growth story and in Oman's strategic approach to investment partnership. CEPA will complement this by strengthening predictability for investors on both sides. Fourth is the ambition for both countries in terms of energy and green transition. During the Honorable Prime Minister's visit, both sides agreed there is vast potential to enhance energy cooperation, including collaboration in green hydrogen and green ammonia. This is where strategy and economic meet. The world is moving towards cleaner energy. India and Oman can work together not only as buyers and sellers, but as partners in technology, investment, and long-term supply arrangements. For Oman, this aligns with economic diversification and the new industries under Vision 2040, and for India aligns with energy security, industrial growth, and a more sustainable development path. And fifth is the digital economy. A modern economy partnership cannot succeed without modern payments and modern financial cooperation. India and Oman have already taken steps in this direction, including cooperation to enable the acceptance of Indian rupee cards in Oman and to build partnership for real-time across borders remittances using UPI rails. For the large Indian community in Oman and for the many Omanis and Indian businesses working together, easier payments and cheaper remittance can make an immediate difference, especially for ordinary families, students, and small traders. Beyond SIBA, our economic partnership is also becoming more diverse. We see growing cooperation in health, education, tourism, and innovation. Health is a good example because it connects policy to people. In 2023, both leaders discussed health cooperation, including the possibility of Oman becoming a central hub for Ayurveda in the Middle East, given the growing popularity of traditional Indian medicine in medicine. In agriculture and food security, the relationship is becoming more forward-looking. In 2025, both sides welcomed an MOU on agriculture and allied sectors to advance collaboration in agriculture science, animals, and aquaculture. They also agreed to enhance cooperation in millet cultivation through training and scientific exchanges. Millets are not only a crop, they are an example of smart, climate-friendly agriculture. In education and knowledge partnership, the two sides are strengthening institutional links. The 2025 visit saw an MOU on higher education, and both sides noted ongoing cooperation capacity building under programs such as ITEC and the forthcoming India-Oman Knowledge Dialogue. These steps may not make headlines, but they shape the future. They create networks of students, researchers, and professionals who will carry the relationship forward. In technology and innovation, the leaders in 2025 noted growing cooperation in IT service, digital infrastructure, and space applications. In the joint vision of 2023, space cooperation and technologies were also identified as priority areas with interest in collaboration in remote sensing, satellite launch, and communication, and the practical application of space technology. Tourism and hospitality is another sector where the potential is far larger than current levels. Oman is a country of a remarkable natural beauty and cultural heritage. India is a country of enormous tourism diversity and a growing middle class that is traveling more. Tourism cooperation, if managed sustainably, creates jobs, supports small businesses, and deepen people-to-people understanding. It is the kind of partnership that builds goodwill without politics. India and Oman do not pursue their relationship in isolation. We are both shaped by the wider region, the Gulf, the Indian Ocean, and the extended neighborhood that links South Asia, West Asia, and East Africa. In recent years, the region has faced complex pressures, conflict, economic uncertainty, humanitarian challenges, and the rapid geopolitical shifts. In such times, stable partnerships become more valuable because they help manage uncertainty. From India's point of view, Oman is a reliable partner and an anchor of stability. Oman's location, its maritime orientation, and its balanced approach to regional affairs gives it a unique role. From Oman's point of view, India is not only a large market, it is also a major technological and human capital partner, an important voice for developing countries on global platform. This regional understanding is reflected in the language used by the leaders. During His Majesty's visit to India in December 2023, both sides emphasized the need for all countries to abide by international law, respect sovereignty and territorial integrity, refrain from interference, and resolve conflicts peacefully through dialogue and diplomacy. This is a clear principle position, and it is also a practical one. In our region, the cost of conflict is never limited to one border. It affects energy flows, food prices, shipping insurance, jobs, and the safety of ordinary people. During the Honorable Prime Minister's visit in December 2025, both leaders again exchanged views on regional and international issues and reaffirmed cooperation against terrorism in all forms. Without entering into political controversies, the essential point is this: India and Oman want a region where extremism doesn't take root, where maritime trade can flow safely, and where prosperity is not hostage to instability. This is also why maritime cooperation has such regional importance. When India and Oman cooperate on maritime domain awareness, information exchange, and prevention of maritime crimes and piracy, the benefits are not limited to our two countries. They contribute to the wider security of the Indian Ocean, an ocean that carries a large shares of global trade and energy shipment. And here I want to underline a point that is often overlooked. People-to-people relations are not only cultural, they are strategic. The Indian community in Oman has long been a bridge between our societies. They contribute to Oman development and economy, and they maintain close ties with India. Their success is a success for both countries. When we improve skill recognition, when we support education, when we create better pathways for professionals, and when we improve financial services, we strengthen not only families, but also resilience of the partnership. Culture, too, has a regional role. In 2025, both sides welcomed initiatives such as the joint exhibition, Legacy of Indo-Oman Relations, and Cooperation in Maritime Heritage and Museum. So why does this matter strategically? Because identity and memory shape how societies view each other. When young people in India and Oman see the depth of our shared heritage, it builds trust that can outlast political cycles. In our part of the world, the sea is not only a route for ships, it's a route for ideas, technology, culture, commerce, and human contact. The Indian Ocean has been a place where civilizations met and traded long before modern borders and modern politics. India and Oman are heirs that Indian Ocean history, and we have a responsibility to protect it by keeping it open, safe, and cooperative. Let me now bring you to these three perspectives together: strategic, economic, and regional, and return to the joint vision adopted in December 2023, a partnership for the future. And the title that has been given to the joint statement in 2023 is in itself a very strategic. The joint vision was important because it's aligned national ambitions. It acknowledged the synergy between Oman Vision 2040 and India's development objectives in the Amrit Kaal, and it identified clear priorities areas: maritime cooperation and connectivity, energy security and green energy, space technologies and applications, digital payment and financial cooperation, trade and investment, health, tourism and hospitality, IT and innovation, and agriculture and food security. In diplomacy, we often speak about potential. The real test is delivery. And when we look back from January 2026, we can already see meaningful delivery. And this delivery in trade of investment in 2023, both sides noted that CBA negotiation had commenced and had already achieved substantial progress. In 2025, 2 years just after that, SIPA was signed, and that is a clear line from vision to achievement. Maritime cooperation, the joint vision of 2023 highlighted maritime cooperation and connectivity. In 2025, both sides adopted a dedicated joint vision document on maritime cooperation and also signed an MOU on maritime heritage and museum again. Again, visions has moved to implementation. In agriculture and food security, 2023 vision highlighted agriculture and food security. In 2025, we saw an MOU on agriculture and allied sectors and executive program for cooperation in millet cultivation and agri-food innovation. In education and knowledge, the vision recognized the importance of knowledge partnership. The 2025 visit produced MOU on higher education and commitment to continued capacity building and dialogue. Energy and the future economy, the vision speaks to energy, security, and green energy. In 2025, both sides emphasized collaboration opportunities in green hydrogen and green ammonia, along with broader energy cooperation. Technology, space, and innovation, the 2023 vision highlighted these areas. The 2025 joint statement notes growing cooperation in IT services, digital infrastructure, and space application, showing that the partnership is moving. So when we ask, what have we achieved so far? The answer could be is that we have built institutions, signed frameworks, and launched practical cooperation across many of the areas that define the future. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ambassador, for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, His Excellency Issa Saleh, Abdullah Saleh Alshibani, sir. I will open the session for question and answer. And I would like to start with myself only. There was a question and it's related to strategic and political relations. Your Excellency, Oman has long been known for its policy of strategic neutrality and quiet diplomacy. How do you see the approach shaping Oman-India relations in an increasingly polarized global order?
Well, thank you so much for the question. I think there are two aspects to it. One is that based on some of the discussion we have with our Indian colleagues, Oman and India are both countries, maybe the only countries who have not waged a war against any other country. We are both countries that we believe dialogue and diplomacy is the only solution to disagreements. We don't see that conflict is the one way, in any way, a mean to resolve conflicts. And that has put us both countries aligned in terms of our approaches on how we look at and really interact with some of the regional conflicts that we have seen arising in the area.
Yes, I would suggest if anyone has a question, you can put your questions in chat box or raise your hand. You can ask the question.
May I ask a question?
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. My question is to Excellency Anil Wadhwa.
No, you are not. Yes, speaking.
Can I ask a question?
You can.
So my question to the Ambassador of Oman. Sir, what are the next steps for India's operational use of Dukh port for logistic and maintenance following the 2025 Joint Vision Document on Maritime Cooperation?
Yes. I'm sure that the Duqm facilities has provided a bigger opportunities for the Indian Navy, especially with the heightened circumstances that has appeared on the Indian Ocean. But if we speak about it, in the Indian Ocean, stability doesn't happen by accident. It requires cooperation, coordination, and constant communication. So the Joint Maritime Vision adopted in 2025 gives the right direction. And there is where the agreement has been on the exchange of information, further collaborations in order to make the sea lines a safe route for trade and also for combat of criminal activities. So I think is where the opportunity lies now in the more on the administrative aspects more than really the logistical part, and where the two countries have been really extensively negotiating enhancement of collaborations. Plus, of course, I've spoken about the Navy collaboration, and that is reflected on military collaboration. We are the only country until now that has military collaboration across the three forces, and that is where experience is exchanged, knowledge is exchanged, and that now was where it has been steadily conducted between the two countries for many years, and where the willingness of both countries to enhance it even further.
I think Ambassador Anil sir has some question.
Yes.
Sir, go ahead.
So, Excellency, you spoke about India-Oman space cooperation, and from 2023 onwards, both countries have been working towards enhancing our cooperation in this area. You yourself were actively involved in this initiative, so it will be most useful for us and the audience to know how is that progressing, and what are the future steps of cooperation between India and Oman in space?
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
This is Bassam Al-Khatib, the ambassador of Syria. And I'm lucky to present my unique situation, being a former ambassador to the Sultanate of Oman and a current ambassador to India. I would love to start by saying that history could be represented in the relation between India and Oman. It goes back to the 3rd millennium BC. Harappan, the civilization of India, is well known in Oman. And in Oman, India is there in the hearts of the good people of Oman. My question is, I would love to concentrate on the maritime issues. Both have the best experience to talk about. My question is, how could we make a kind of reviving this experience? In other terms, how do you see a modern future between the two countries based on a very rich history? Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Ambassador. I'll maybe answer Ambassador Anil's question first, and then I'll go back to this, and I'll leave it to Ambassador Anil maybe to comment even further.
Thank
So
you.
in terms of space, is that where we had mutual visit in the last 2 years. The Minister for IT, which is the minister responsible for space technologies, has visited few cities in India. I think there is a discussion that has been going through with regards to human capacity building, which is very important. And we are pursuing this, and hopefully 2026, where it will bring more collaborations. Some of the very good discussion that I've had with ISRO is that where we maybe think beyond machines and instrument and think of the human capital. And that is where we see a potential of collaboration. There are talks that have happened, and hopefully we will be able to get some of our young people who are now very much in terms of technology and space application to hopefully visit and then maybe interact with some of the institutions in India during 2026. With regards to Ambassador Dr. Bassam's question, I think he is the much better than me to answer his own question. He has read extensively and wrote about maritime cooperation and the importance of the Indian Ocean. But I would say, by the end of 2025, we had a very significant event where, and that came during His Majesty 2023, where India has endeavor in reviving some of the historical ties. So by end of 2025, we have seen the state ship sailing from Gujarat, reviving and bringing history to the long-term, deeply rooted historic maritime relationship between the two countries. And hopefully where we would see news in the coming few weeks of the arrival of the ship to Oman. In terms of modern history is where, as I mentioned, Oman conducts maritime exercises between the two countries. Oman is the first and maybe the only one who has been doing this for a very long time. The joint maritime document pact has been signed during the Honorable Prime Minister visit, and that where it would allow for more cooperation, more of information exchange, more of technological updates in terms of maritime. Indian Navy has been for very long and continue to play a very big role in the security of the Indian Ocean. And I think where cooperation between the two countries will bring more of cooperation in the modern maritime security of the region, and that maritime cooperation is not only will not only reflect on the relationship between the two countries, but also it will reflect on the benefit of the worldwide countries, bringing more safety to the Indian Ocean and the Arabian Sea.
So may I add a bit to Excellency's explanation? Excellency Bassam Al Khatib has got an excellent question there, and I must say that India and Oman indeed have a very rich historical legacy. And I think it's important that we take this forward even further through some joint heritage projects. I have in mind things like maritime fellowships, digital archives, some exhibition of museums, and also academic research, which focus on our ancient trade links and the Indian diaspora's role in Oman, and also our strategic maritime partnership, so that we can deepen this understanding. And that reinforces our current relationship. Elaborating a little bit, I think the joint fellowships can focus on research on our Indian Ocean history.
I think we have lost Ambassador Anil Wadhwa. Ambassador Anil, can you hear us? No. Yes. There are other questions here, Your Excellency. I'll read them out for you. There is a question by Varisha Vasi. She's an intern at IDDF Research Foundation. She's asking that given national level development plans of both the countries, how India and Oman are collaborating green hydrogen and renewable energy.
Yes, I think is on that where two things. First of all, green hydrogen is a new technology where collaboration is really very important, and I think is where we're exploring avenues in terms of collaborations. We are planning to, we have hosted a green hydrogen summit in Oman, and we're planning to see a suitable time for our Green Hydrogen Authority to come to India and maybe interact and explore, what is possibility of collaboration. Of course, is where green hydrogen's discussion is also around energy security, around green hydrogen off-takers, and that is where, and green hydrogen applications, and that is where discussion is really put through in terms of how pathways could be built up when the technology become available. Work is already going ahead in terms of green hydrogen ammonia. There are investments in terms of green hydrogen, green steel, and that is where, as well as shows the development in terms of green hydrogen perspective in terms of collaboration between the two countries. I would say that with regards to SMEs is one of our very important aspect. It's one of the important aspects that the SIBA has covered. And when the administrative procedures is completed by the two countries, I'm sure the SIBA agreement will be published. The different elements of it will be published. But also going back to the Oman-India Joint Fund is where the focus is on in terms of investments of startups and some of the SMEs projects. Oman in itself has been really very much encouraging for young entrepreneurs to take initiatives and laid the ground area for them to prosper as innovative companies. And I think with regards to the India's high reputation in terms of startups and SMEs, I think there is a huge potential for collaborations between the two countries. Is where also again our plan, as we have conducted a few seminars and summits last year in terms of enhancement of knowledge with regards to businesses, is where we intend as an embassy this year to focus on SMEs, startups, collaborations, and hopefully where we can get the opportunity to host a group of Omani entrepreneurs to come in India and interact with their Indian counterparts. Because that is, according to your question, is where it doesn't only provide as a commercial bridge, but also people-to-people relationship that we are working on enhancement and encouraging between the two countries.
Any other question? There is a question by Moinuddin Ahmed. It's about how do you see India-Oman relationship in the time of non-Western influence as India is exercising its independent foreign policy?
I think this is a subject that has been spoken about for a time where we have seen so much of disruption with regards to supply chain, with regards to policies, and where alternative rules needs alternative routes could be created in terms of ensuring that countries have sufficiency, and I think is where both countries are looking as in terms of enhancing this. SIBA, as I have mentioned, and Ambassador Anil maybe spoke about it, is where we see kind of new collaborations where Oman could play as a hub and a gateway for not only the Gulf region or Middle East, but the wider world throughout to Africa and Europe.
Anil Wadhwa is back. Sir, can you continue?
Yeah, so sorry. So I almost finished there, but I think my last point was about doing something by way of archives as well, because we have a very rich history, and the younger generation in both countries is not aware of that relationship. So I would like to thank Excellency Basam Al Khatib to raise this issue, because it's a very important point that he raised between this collaboration between India and Oman. Because unless the younger generation is aware, we cannot really build upon it. And most importantly, I think the whole shipbuilding industry with the techniques which existed during that time, and how the trade used to take place with trade winds, is extremely important to understand. And that's why this voyage that is taking place right now is also very important. A few years ago, we attempted a similar voyage from Oman to Singapore, which touched upon the Indian coast of Kerala. But that was quite some time back now. And I think, similar voyages, and also in terms of establishing museums in each other's countries, which remind us of that historical linkage, is very important.
Yes, Excellency, and I'll add to it just that there is an existing collaboration between our National Archive Authority and the National Archive of India. I think where last year there was an exhibition that shows collaboration between the two institutions. And I think that is a continued effort by the two archives. And hopefully has included the wider aspect of archiving. So I'm sure it has covered some of the maritime archives, and hopefully where either in Oman or India, where we see maybe a release of some of those documents, or maybe a publication by the National Archives on the history of the maritime cooperation between the two countries.
Yes.
There is one more question here. Oman is strategic location near Gulf of Oman and Gulf of Aden, where there is the issue of piracy. What are renewed steps taken by Oman to tackle this issue and promote free movement of trade through shipping lanes? And what steps Oman had taken to maintain internal stability of the country in West Asian region?
Well, I think 2 points is one is that Oman state policy of diplomacy and dialogue and non-interference. So that is one issue, and that is one way of how we see conflict resolutions. In terms of maritime, I have mentioned that there has been collaboration between the Indian Navy. The Duqm logistical port is one side of cooperation. The joint maritime cooperation is one element of it, where exchange of information is very important in terms of applying more security to the region. So there are steps taken forward by the two countries to ensure the safety of maritime. We have seen over the last years, with regards to this cooperation, a huge decrease in terms of the piracy operations. It's where now for the last maybe 2 years or 3 years, you wouldn't see in the news an article about any of the piracy operation taking place on the area. So that is where it comes as a result of the joint cooperation between countries responsible for the safe maritime in the region.
I think, India and Oman have a very strong defense and maritime security collaboration against piracy in the Arabian Sea. And that's built on the strategic port access. That's one point, like Duqm, but also on our joint military exercises like Nasim al Bahar. And then we have shared intelligence, logistic support, and that positions Oman as a key partner for India's Indian Ocean region security strategy. Uh, because Oman provides India with very crucial berthing facilities, logistical support, overflight support at ports like Duqm. So that's very vital for naval operations against piracy in the Western Indian Ocean region and also in the Gulf of Aden.
His Excellency,
Could I say
Dr.
another
Bassam Khatib,
remark if possible?
if you would like to add something.
Yes, I just wanted to say something. While following the comments in the in the monitor, somebody wrote the Gulf of Amman. We need to differentiate between Oman and Amman, the capital of Jordan. This is first. The second one, His Excellency spoke very skillfully about the documents. So I'm taking the first syllable of the word dokum. For me, I believe this is the magical word for the future. The Duqm area is one of the best areas for investment for India. I do again concentrate on this word. It's a key for the future for our brothers in India. This is my remark. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. And I would just add one more is that we have, with the collaborations of countries like India, is where we have elevated during the past few years the status of the maritime route in the Sea of Oman, where it used to be classified as after the increase of piracy, where it has been classified as a risk route, where substantial effort has been put through Oman Navy with the collaboration of friends from India, and then we have removed the classification of the risky route within the International Maritime Organization, and where that has substantially reflected on the trade flow, shipment, insurance, and safety of maritime vessels through the Oman Sea and the Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean.
Sir, I think it's the last question, and it's written by someone. How can Oman's integration into the IMEC help in boosting India-Oman trade? Please shed some light on IMEC.
I think is if you come across the Indian Ocean, the first point that you cannot ignore is Oman, and where access to the wider region has to be through Oman. Beside, of course, the Oman history in terms of maritime, Oman capacity in terms of maritime security. And plus of Oman believe, as well as India, that supply chain is really very important. We have seen how disruption really could elevate kind of prices, reduce commodities. And we are very keen for the region and the wider commercial community that supply chain is streamlined and through very safe and trusted pathways.
I have a point to add over there. I think Oman's ports of Salalah, Duqm, Sohar, they offer some direct access to the Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean, and that I think bypasses the potential choke points which have arisen. In future, Strait of Hormuz also will come under question, in my view. So this offers an viable alternate note to the current and more vulnerable route through the Persian Gulf ports. So I think, and also, if Oman is part of IMEC, it will align very well with Oman's Vision 2040 for economic diversification, because Oman is well on its way to transition to a post-oil economy, is developing its logistics, its trade, and clean energy sectors, and I think it could become a key logistics and energy hub. So Oman again is developing green hydrogen in industry. Also, it has a liquid hydrogen corridor with the Netherlands. So its inclusion in IMEC would link this capacity very well with the corridor's planned electricity grid and also the hydrogen pipeline. So it could become a major clean energy exporter to Europe if it's part of IMEC.
And maybe just a small addition is, I don't know how many of you have visited Oman, but on the last few years, there has been projects in developing some of the infrastructure. So now there is a 4-lane connecting Oman and Saudi Arabia, and those are very high infrastructure projects. There's, of course, the railway line that is connecting Oman, which is under development, Oman and UAE. And that is where alternative routes are created within Oman to facilitate trade and supply chain.
Thank you so much. I think we can move forward. And now I would request the chair of the session, Ambassador Anil Wadhwa, for his concluding observations.
Well, thank you very much. I think we've had a very comprehensive kind of discussion today on India-Oman relationship. I would like to thank Ambassador Issa Saleh, Abdullah Saleh Alshibani for his very detailed remarks on what has happened between India and Oman, especially the comparison that Excellency made on what was promised in 2023 and where we are in 2025, showing very clearly that we are moving ahead in this relationship and this partnership. And it's actually not just MOUs that we've signed, but we moved them into reality in a number of fields. We also discussed things like IMEC, and that's, of course, in the latter part of our discussion in the question and answer session. I thought that's an important discussion to take forward in the future. There are some futuristic ideas that we have in terms of the transition from our traditional sectors of economy to the new sectors of economy. And now that the SEPA has been signed, we have a lot of work between India and Oman going forward. Because again, if we have to translate the promises of the SECA into how we get mutual benefits and gains, then we have to actually make a lot of efforts in identification of the actual businesses, getting the businesses in touch, and making sure that that translates into contracts and investments, etc. So a lot of work lies ahead, uh, between India and Oman, and the relationship is based on a very solid foundation. I'm so glad that the governments of the two countries have laid this very solid foundation. And as people like the Omani ambassador here, an Indian ambassador to Oman, who will have to take this forward for our mutual benefit. I'd like to also thank IDDF Research Foundation for organizing this interaction today, for the active participation of His Excellency Dr. Bassam Al Khatib, with his deep knowledge of India and Oman, and also the knowledgeable partnership of the audience today, where they asked a number of very incisive questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency Issa Saleh, Abdullah Saleh Al-Shibani, Ambassador Anil Wadhwa, and His Excellency Dr. Bassam Al-Khatib, all the participants. IDDF Research Foundation, actually, it's a Delhi-based Section 8 registered organization. We are working on international relations and different issues of international relations with a special focus on India-West Asia relations with our initiative Center for India-West Asia Dialogue. We have multiple number of research interns working on India-West Asia relations, and we will be organizing more and more talks related to India-West Asia relations. Thank you so much for joining us. With this, I think it's come to an end.
Thank you. Thank you, Ambassador Bassam.
Thank you,
Ambassador Anil.
Thank you.
Have a good day.